Welcome to all sins and commandments alike. This is Griever, your guys' host as always, bringing you guys the latest episode review of Wrath of the Gods. Now, honestly, I thought this was a pretty good episode. I thought it was pretty well animated. It wasn't too good. It wasn't too bad. And on top of that, I thought it was a good transition episode. I thought it's leading in, the pacing is correct, and we're really building up to the big thing that I want to see in Season 3. Now, because, of course, manga spoilers that I won't mention here. However, right here, I was pleasantly surprised by this episode. I didn't think they would do this as much just as they did, but I remember the anime giving me this feeling. I remember the anime doing this more justice back in Season 1 for Helbram, for his backstory, for his reasoning. I felt that the pacing and the way everything was shot in the anime in the first season actually resonated with me more than the manga did. Sometimes that can happen, you know. Sometimes seeing something filled out, that's something I really like about anime, is that you can take something, you can take a manga adaptation and you can go, okay, the manga, it was only a few pages, but you know what, we could really make half an episode of this, we could expand this. I'm not saying that the manga ever does anything necessarily wrong. I'm saying that the anime, if you're an anime creator, if you're an anime for an adaptation of a source material, you can look at scenes and you can go, this thing's key. This is what made fans love this. Why don't we expand on this? Why don't we really hit this home? This was a 8 out of 10. Let's make this 11. Let's make this a home run. Like this right here, this story is a home run in a regular season game. Why don't we make this the goddamn championship home run? And when animes do that, it's fantastic. I'm not saying they did that here, because they didn't. But Helbram's backstory, in a way, was resonating with me far more in the anime. I don't really know why. But here in this episode, in the later half, we get that. So this episode, I'm probably not going to show any screenshots, because I couldn't really find a good quality rendition of this episode for some reason. My regular sites weren't working and stuff like that, so I apologize for that. That's why this review will be relatively short. Now, suffice to say, we saw Meliodas attack Zeldris at the beginning or the end of the last episode. That happens here. He basically gets captured in the kingdom of Colan by Melisukla. Melisukla traps him in a darkness cocoon that every time he uses darkness, it'll feed all the negativity of him in assault mode and all that stuff. Will feed, demon mark and all that stuff. Will feed into the undead. So there's an army of undead that the other sins have to fight pretty much. That's basically the episode, right? So they all fight. They're all bashing and jamming and spell crushing and all this stuff. An army of skeletons, pretty much. Looks like a dungeon siege if it was animated, right? And after this, and we cut back and forth, and it's a pretty good episode. The pacing's fine and stuff. Then we get into the fact that the souls, where did all these skeletons come from? Why is Colan? You immediately assume that, well, Colan is part of Camelot. It was probably taken over by the demon realm or the demon, the Ten Commandments and the demon race and all that stuff, and was totally wiped out. Not the case. This was Helbram. Do you remember old Helbram? Do you remember Helbram when he was fascinated by humans, when he wanted to be friends with them, when he traded with them, when he thought that the world was sunshine and rainbows? And do you remember what happened to his kin? Do you remember what happened to his friends and family? Do you remember the torment? I'm not going to say there was any rape going on, but basically the bestiality of what happened. Do you remember Helbram? That's my question. To you in the comment section. Do you remember Helbram? Because if you do, man was totally justified. I'm not saying any of these people had anything to do with that trade market. But this is a society that allowed that trade market to occur in the first place. Was it too far? Yes. But is it unjust? See, this is where I love Taizai. I love Taizai for this. I love Seven Deadly Sins because this is a gray area topic. Was Helbram justified in his revenge? This is a question I pose to all of you. I really do. I talked about this back on my old channel and stuff. I made videos about this, and they did pretty well. But here is my second opportunity on my new channel to talk to you guys about this. Do you think Helbram's revenge, what he suffered, do you think, is it sympathetic? Is it empathetic? Is it justified? It's a very gray area no matter the way you look at it, and I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts down in the comment section down below. I don't approve of genocide by any stretch of the imagination. However, I do see, at the very least, to sum this up, I do see where Helbram at least was coming from in his despair, in his rage. I can empathize with that, if nothing else. But I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts down in the comment section down below. So, this basically goes on to say that Deanne ends up getting possessed because of the whole Elizabeth curse thing. Deanne is now weak of heart, and the souls surrounding the thousands of souls that Helbram basically killed have now infected Deanne, the ones weak of heart, using Melissukla's magic sort of idea, harnessing that dark magic. They end up possessing the heart of Deanne. Deanne is, of course, weak of heart right now because she thinks that Elizabeth is going to die because she opened her big mouth. Self-awareness on Deanne, still hate her character. But, at the very least, at least she acknowledges that it's basically her fault. Because it kind of is. Her leading Elizabeth towards this expedited the issue. And that, in turn, will basically create problems we will see later. So Deanne is literally the cause of all the problems. However, that being said, she gets possessed, and they can't really hurt her. Well, Escanor is basically like, I'm going to pull my punches. Boom! And still sends a giant flying because he's Escanor. He's a badass. Escanor's back. This also begs the question, I understand it was daytime, and then it gets like really cloudy, and then all of a sudden it's basically like nighttime to set the mood, but it looks weird. Escanor should not be in that form when it's that dark. I understand they were trying to set a tone here, like zombie apocalypse tone. Everything's black and purple and red. I get it, but it looks dumb to have Escanor in that form, in that lighting. To me, what did you guys think? Because I thought that was really stupid. I really did. I didn't like that because it's clearly daytime. We know it's daytime, but even with that established, like, how did the sky turn purple? It's just kind of dumb. It's not even raining or anything, so you can't even acknowledge it as rain clouds or something. I could accept the gray overtone. They literally changed. It goes from bright daylight, like the 90-degree day in Fahrenheit and stuff for the Americans, to a gray, okay, we're looking at a 45, down to basically the apocalypse is happening, nighttime. And somehow that's when Escanor turns into, I understand the magical glasses, I do, but it doesn't look anything like nighttime. How would the sky change? It just, I don't know, it bothered me. It really did bother me. And too much red. Too much red going on in this scene because it takes away from Deanne's eyes because she's possessed and all that stuff. Gothar tries to help her, doesn't really work. Helbram basically has to admit to what he did. We get that backstory that he killed all the people here, back then. And the souls are vengeful. They sat, and he just basically crush. And so Helbram, you know what? This was powerful, more powerful than the manga, I'll admit. But I feel like Helbram coming back the second time was kind of an ass pull anyways. Getting him out of this was kind of killing two birds with one stone. It was supposed to hit us in the feels a little bit while simultaneously getting rid of a bit of a, okay, he shouldn't really be alive anyway sort of idea. But in the end of the day, it would have been better had Helbram somehow recovered or something like that, and this was the real Helbram. Then it would have really hit home. Then we could have had an entire character thing where even though Deanne was possessed, Deanne allowed herself to be possessed and then kill Harlequin's best friend. This is Nakaba, the writer of Taizai. You don't take your lead. You don't, okay, I have two characters. They have to fall in love. They love each other. Great. Memory loss. That's the answer. So we can have an arc. Okay. And then they'll get together at the end of the arc. Okay. They're together at the end of the arc. But I need more. So what do? Okay. Memory loss. Memory loss 2.0. Okay. Do it again. And then they're together again. Great. Okay, what do I do now? Instead of doing Memory Loss 2.0, you could have had this whole thing right here. This would be proper relationship breaking stuff where the love of your life ends up killing your best friend. In a very, as we just talked about 5 minutes ago, is a very gray area as to why he's a murderer. So, see, that is good character building. That's character arc. Soap Opera 101, people. It's been on the air for over 100 years. Since television was invented, soap opera has been on. Telenovelas and stuff, and regardless of country, they've been on. Something the equivalent of an American soap opera has been on the air. So, it's worked for them. Like, don't try to, I don't know. I just feel like this would have been an excellent point to hammer home a new problem between them in their relationship instead of just doing memory loss as the reason. King and Deanne are the worst couple in all of anime for this very reason. Because there's no tension. They fell in love before the story began. And it was simply circumstance and basically amnesia that kept them apart the whole time. There was nothing else. There was nothing keeping them from each other. It wasn't a budding romance. They were in love 30 years before the story began. 100 years. So it's a stupid love story. So that being said, basically after she crunches the helmet that kept Helbram's spirit in her and stuff, in the helmet and stuff, he acknowledges his problems. He's like, I'm going to save everybody. So even then, the vengeful spirit's kind of like, oh, I'm still not satisfied. You think killing one fairy will do it? Elizabeth and Elaine show up and let there be light. And then boom, boom, boom. That always reminds me for some reason of Dan Green's, Yugi or Yami. Just let there be light, swords of revealing light, something like that. Always reminds me of that. And so Elizabeth shouts, let there be light, and purifies Deanne of the evil spirits and stuff. And it's kind of like, even in the manga, this was bad because it's kind of like, literally, you couldn't show up like 1 minute before. We're not talking like half a battle. We're talking 30 seconds later, after she kills the spirit of Helbram, and King is totally upset, and Deanne has to live with that. Even though it's not really shown, a spoiler alert in the manga, it's not ever shown that King or Deanne suffer anything from this. Nobody blames anybody. Nobody even brings up Helbram anymore. Elizabeth showing up 1 minute past the needed hour is... Nah, I don't like it. That's a problem. I mean, this is a transitional episode, so it's fine. Because we're getting into better stuff. But this is a serious problem in the story as a whole. Elizabeth shows up late for plot convenience. Had the souls of the restless been cured because of this killing of Helbram, that would have been a different story. But the fact that even Helbram's death, which is meant to make us feel something, and does nothing for Deanne and King's relationship, which it should, but it doesn't, then in the end, it just, like, nothing happens to this. It's ridiculous. It's really bad writing. It's an overlaying of too many things, and it does not work, in my opinion. But what do you guys think of the episode? What do you guys think of my analysis? Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. This review actually went a little longer than I thought it would, but either way, I hope you guys enjoyed and stuff, and I'm sorry for the lack of images. There might be one, maybe two, but I don't expect to find very many by tomorrow when I start editing this video and such like that, because I couldn't even find a good quality version of this episode. Don't know why, but either way, don't forget to hit the bell notification. You guys want to know every single time I drop a video. And don't forget, if you guys want to talk to me or a bunch of the other people in my Discord, the Discord link is down in the description box down below. This has been Griever with your not behind the bar reviews, but your episode review of Wrath of the Gods, episode 11. Looking forward to the next one, guys. We'll see you back here next time. Peace out.